What does Sanatan even mean? What's the difference between Dharma and religion? Is Sanatana Dharma? What's the difference between Panth, Sampradaya, and Dharma? Why is a friend termed as Mitra in Sanskrit? What does Mitra even mean? Why is the sun also called Mitra? You will get answers to these questions and many more in this very episode, so stick around. Namaste, Namaste. Welcome to the second episode of Sanatan 0.0. Firstly, a big thank you to all of you for your appreciation, comments, feedback, and questions on our very first episode. Some of you thought we would only be talking about linguistics and Sanskrit. Well, surprise! Sanatan 0.0 is about the whole enchilada. Sanatan Dharm, its roots, its essence, and its profound wisdom. So, buckle up. So, why call this Sanatan 0.0? Simple. We are rebooting back to basics, to the roots. Today, if you ask someone what Sanatan civilization is, you might either get a blank stare or a politically charged rant. Few have a rational, well informed understanding. Our mission? To change that, one episode at a time, backed by facts, not fairy tales. Sanatan literally translates to that which sustains. But hold on, it's not that simple. What is it sustaining and how? Sanatan is a civilizational construct of rightful duties that sustain human civilization. Think of it as the ultimate life hack for societal integrity. And why is societal integrity so crucial? Well, imagine if everyone started making the wrong choices. Civilization would go down the drain faster than you can say moral bankruptcy. In today's world, addressing moral and ethical dilemmas is more challenging than ever. Fake news spreads faster than facts. AI can generate convincing false narratives, and social media algorithms prioritize sensationalism over truth. Imagine politicians making decisions based on misinformation, businesses exploiting loopholes without any ethical considerations at all, or individuals acting purely out of self interest. If we would be living in a Kali, right? A world where trust erodes, cooperation crumbles, and societal norms disintegrate. Without a clear path to navigate moral, ethical dilemmas, we risk the collapse of civilization. This is exactly where Sanatan comes in. It is not a religion, it's a comprehensive guide for sustaining civilization. But then, where does religion fit in? Let's take a story from Mahabharata's Vanaparva to explore this. In exile, the Pandavas face a Yaksha who poses several brain busting questions. One by one, the Pandavas fail to answer and drop like flies as Yaksha kills them. Yudhishthira steps up, answers correctly, and revives his brothers. One of the crucial questions that he was asked was how to determine what is the right path. The answer? Tarko apratishtha smrutyo vibhinnaha na eko rushi asita yasya vachanam pramanam dharmasya tatvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gataha sapantaha. This very literally means that logic alone cannot be trusted because it is limited by the data which is available to it. Those who understand AI can quickly relate to this. The more data you feed, the more logical processing it can do, and hence can be more and more intelligent. Scriptures are many, often not in sync, and it is not easy to figure out which scripture to refer to for which specific dilemmas. There is no single authority figure who can state conclusively what is right, because no one can be in others' footsteps and take an appropriate call. Things are highly subjective and contextual. The way dharma, rightful duty, is to be worked out is extremely nuanced and complicated, and hence the best path is to follow in the footsteps of the great people. Religion, Panth, is thus faith based, easy to follow, and provides clearer guidance to the lowest common denominator. It's like having a GPS for life and works very well when you are traveling long distances, but it will not always be accurate and hence not be of guidance when you are seeking directions in close proximity. That is extremely complex situations posing ethical, moral dilemmas. As a quick side note, Sampradaya is also religion. The only difference is that, unlike Panth, here the individual delegates the role authority to another individual as he or she passes away. For example, the Nath Sampradaya, the Tibetan Lama, etc. Dharma, on the other hand, is more complex. It requires a much deeper understanding and reflection. It's the comprehensive manual for the GPS, explaining the why behind the directions. Religion and dharma can collaborate within a broader civilizational construct. Religion offers a straightforward path for the masses, providing clear faith based guidance that's easy to follow. Dharma, on the other hand, goes deeper, providing the philosophical and ethical context behind the directions given by the GPS, i.e., religion. It explains why you should follow a particular route, considering the broader implications and ensuring that the journey aligns with moral and ethical principles. Sanatan leaves room for both and more. Sanatan Dharma, like modern religions, addresses ontology, which is all about what's real, about existence, about defining existence. Epistemology, which is all about how do we know what's real, and axiology, which is about how do we use the knowledge that we have gained about existence for a peaceful, ethical life. These three streams form the foundation for addressing moral dilemmas and rightful duties. Sanatan's knowledge system is vast and much more beyond these three streams. The four Vedas, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, Atharva Ved, each individually with its own Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Samhitas, and Upanishads. Then we have Vedants, Kalpa, which is all about rituals, Jyotish, which is about astronomy, Chanda, which is all about rhythm, Vyakran, which is about grammar, Nirukta, which is about etymology, and Siksha, which is about phonetics. And then there are Upavedas, Ayurveda about health, Gandharva Ved about arts, Dhanurved about warfare, and Arthashastra about economics. There are many more. But most important thing to note is that language is a big deal in Sanatan Dharma. Look at how 4 out of 6 Vedants are all centered around communication, grammar, rhythm, phonetics, etymology. Manusmriti says all transactions in the world are rooted in speech, and from speech they proceed. But one who's fraudulent in one's speech ends up defrauding all the transactions. Taittiriya Upanishad backs it up. It says, Satyam vada dharmam chara, which means let your speech be truthful and your actions aligned to rightful duties. In today's post truth era, where anyone with a keyboard can be an expert, I'm not talking about myself, this emphasis on truth is vital. False narratives can spread faster than facts. Thanks to social media and AI driven content generation, these can impact geopolitics, individual lives, and societal trust. Imagine AI generated fake news influencing elections or deep fake videos ruining reputations. We are in an age where verifying truth is harder but more crucial than ever. Even the simplest of things, like the sun that we see early in the morning as it wakes us up and gears us up for the day, has 12 distinct names in Sanskrit. Can you believe it? 12. In fact, if you are aware of the Surya Namaskar, an exercise that has 12 postures or asanas, and which, if performed daily, gives immense health benefit, boosts immunity, tones muscles, raises our heart rate, warms up the body, reduces stress and anxiety, regulates blood pressures, and a lot more. The right practice is not just physically performing these 12 asanas successively, but also following a very specific breathing pattern aligned to each asana, and most importantly, reciting a salutation to the sun. each salutation being one name of the sun. So 12 names, 12 salutations. Just look at these 12 names, and you can't help but be wowed by the sheer depth of exploration and rational thinking that our ancestors had, and how they integrated everything, knowledge and rituals, for health, peace, and prosperity. Take the word Mitra, for example. Myth means measured, and Ra means radiation. So, very literally, Mitra means measured radiation. Myth, by the way, can be found in many other words like mithabhashi, which means person with measured speech. Mithahasya is someone who's having a measured smile or a measured laughter. Um, and there's a reason why sun is called as Mitra. It is giving us a pretty much a measured radiation. Anything in excess we would have dried up, like mercury, or anything less, we would have been cold and barren as Mars. So there is a reason why we have a life sustained on Earth, because the sun is giving us very specific amount of radiation, not more, not less. And there is a reason why even friends are called as Mitra, because the right friend would not be saying constantly yes to us, will not be motivating us into doing anything and everything. The right friend is a person who will motivate us to do the right things and demotivate us from doing the wrong things. So, not only the sun, but even your best friend, good friend is Mitra. Ravi, the second name of the sun, which basically means radiant. The sun isn't just a light bulb, it's the source of all energy, it's radiating energy to us. The third name, Surya, which literally is formed of two root words, Su and Ya. Su means good, and Ya stands for Yajna. So, very literally, it means good sacrifice. The sun's constant fusion reaction is a good sacrifice for us, because it is because of this fusion reaction, which, if you look at it in one way, um, it's leveraging 600 million tons of hydrogen nuclei, combining four nuclei into one helium nuclei as part of the entire fusion process. And all of this is happening every second. 600 million tons of hydrogen converted into helium via fusion every second. And this is this sacrifice, this yajna, the eternal yajna, which is giving us the energy that helps us sustain life on earth. And therefore, it is good sacrifice. And therefore, Surya. Um, the fourth name is Bhanu, which basically means bright. Pa stands for brightness or light. So who better than sun, to be called a light giver? Um, Sun is also termed as Khaga, because it's the one who's roaming in the sky, and therefore birds are also called as Khaga because they are flying in the sky. Sun is also called as Pushna because it's the nourisher. Photosynthesis, remember? Hiranyagarbha, golden egg. This is pointing to the solar system's origin, or the planetary origins, in terms of how, when solar system was formed out of a dwarf galaxy colliding into our Milky Way galaxy, and when initially, because of the material dispersion, all the denser elements migrated towards the core of the sun, and the lighter elements moved away from it in a linear line, and then few of them started combining at a center, creating planets. Then the planets and planetoids collided, and so on. And there's this whole evolution of how planets came into being. And Hiranyagarbha is, in a way, pointing out to that aspect of the sun being at the center of the planetary system, and in a way, being the cause of the creation of all the planets. Um, Marich, it's also termed as Marich for its hotness. Think chili pepper. There's a reason why the green chili is called as mirchi in most Indic languages. It's also called as Aditya, which literally means son of Aditi. Again, for the same reason that it's pointing to the instance when a dwarf galaxy collided with our Milky Way galaxy, or Aditi, resulting in the creation of our sun 4.6 billion years ago. So, very literally, Aditya means the son of Aditi, or son of our Milky Way galaxy. It's also known as Savitri, which is knowledge giver. Light equals insight. So, very symbolically, enlightenment, or bringing in an insight, knowledge, is being represented by light, and as a light giver, therefore sun is called as Savitri. Sun is also termed as Arka, which is the core of all, because sun is central to life. If you look at the entire food chain, and how the energy footprint moves from one organism to the other as part of the overall food chain, if you track it through, you would realize that at the core of all of it, ultimately it's the solar energy. So our entire life on earth is sustained by the solar energy, and therefore there is a reason why sun is also called as Arka. And last but not the least, the 12th name of the sun, which is Bhaskara. Now you may ask me, hey, we have already used the name Bhanu, so why repeat the name Bhaskar, in terms of leveraging Bha again and again? So this is an interesting facet of Sanskrit etymology, that each root can have multiple meanings. Bha stands for light, but at the same time, Bha also stands for zodiac. And who other than sun, which can be termed as a zodiac creator? If anyone who knows astrology, and the fundamentals of astrology, they would know how zodiac gets created. It's the sun that maps or charts the zodiac in terms of mapping the positions of the sun as it virtually moves around the earth, and then depending on which constellation aligns with that specific sun's position is how the zodiac is mapped or created, and therefore it's termed as the zodiac creator, or Bhaskara. Astrology buffs rejoice. I'm emphasizing this etymological breakdown of Sanskrit words and terms again in the second episode for two reasons. One is to convey the depth in which the importance of language was explored and its criticality to interpersonal interactions and societal integrity was worked out. And because a lot of people questioned the logic in my first video around whether I was cooking up these etymological breakdowns on my own, wondering where this comes from, well, it's all in Nirukta, one of the Vedants, thanks to Yaskacharya's work on etymology. Just Google Yaskacharya Nirukta and you will get enough and more literature, that will let you know how this etymological breakdown comes into being. So before questioning me, please read, study, research, and then come back if you have still any doubts. I'll always be happy to resolve. Now, let's explore the broader context of how our understanding of Sanatan Dharma has been shaped, or rather distorted, mostly by left historians. Oops, I meant historians. A triad of forces has worked over time to undermine our cultural heritage. First, colonial hegemony. The British, Portuguese, Dutch, and French didn't just come for spices. They came with narratives to divide us, create subgroups, and instill inferiority. The Aryan invasion theory was a convenient tool portraying our civilization as a patchwork of invaders rather than an ancient indigenous entity. Divide and rule, remember? The second, Christian imperialism. Missionaries aimed to convert by breaking our cultural confidence. They propagated the idea that our knowledge system was primitive and that salvation lay in the Western education and religion. Divide and rule wasn't just a political strategy, it was a cultural and religious one too. And third, the destructive impact of Islamic invasions. Think Nalanda, where knowledge was literally burned to the ground. These invasions, combined with colonial narratives, distorted our history and civilization. These forces propagated theories like the Aryan invasion theory and the Proto-Indo-European route to Sanskrit, suggesting that our civilization was a recent, chaotic mix of external influences rather than a cohesive, ancient entity. This especially when we have enough evidences to establish that we are an ancient, not recent, civilization, that we are homogeneous and indigenous and not Aryans and Dravidians and tribals, that we possibly civilized the West, definitely not the other way around, and that we possibly helped build the knowledge systems of the West, and definitely not the other way around. Well, I'm sure a lot of you will ask me, what is the proof? Why am I using rhetorics and opinions when I keep saying I'll only talk facts and data? Okay, ready? Let's go. Genetic studies show that the R1A haplogroup is indigenous to India, predating the supposed Aryan invasion by thousands of years. Yep, our ancestors were here all along, doing their thing way before anyone else decided to drop by. Sinoli excavations unearthed chariots and warrior burials dating back to 2000 BC and beyond, suggesting advanced indigenous technology. So, no, the horses and horse chariots didn't come in with invading or migrating Aryans. We had it all the way. None of the archaeological findings support the large scale invasions proposed by Aryan invasion theory. There is absolutely no evidence of mass migrations or warfare that would indicate an invasion. Instead, the archaeological record shows a continuity of culture in the Indian subcontinent. Excavations in Tamil Nadu have shown proof, the recent ones, of urban settlements dating back to 2200 BC and more, showing consistent cultural development. Looks like our ancestors were city planners and architects, not just nomads waiting to be civilized. A quick read of Ramayana and Mahabharata tells us the detailed planning, the city planning, the urban planning that we had as our knowledge repository. Paul Hegarty's recent research suggests Indo European languages have a complex, multi regional origin, not a single Proto Indo European root. Ancient linguists were more like global travelers, not just backyard gossipers. The Rig Veda or any other Sanatan texts, scriptures, do not mention invasions at all. The term Aryan in Sanskrit literally means noble and does not denote a race. The racial interpretation of Aryan was introduced by European scholars in the 19th century, influenced by their own geopolitical contexts. In fact, scholarly research on Ved and Puranas could reveal migration stories and cultural links to Celtic and Avestan traditions. They could point to migration from east to west, linked to the War of Ten Kings, or the War of Mahabharata, or the Rishi Kashyap and his progeny. Time to rethink those old narratives. Michael Witzel critiques the Proto-Indo-European hypothesis, showing that linguistic evidence doesn't support a single origin. It's more like a spread out family reunion than a single ancestral home. DNA analysis from a female skeleton in Rakhigadi shows no Central Asian steppe ancestry, indicating that the Harappans were indigenous. So the Harappan people weren't waiting for Aryans to tell them how to live. American historian Thomas Trotman exposes the racial biases inherent in colonial interpretations of Indian history. He argues that the idea of Aryan invasion was used to justify British colonial rule by depicting Indians as needing the Western civilization. For those who want to dive deeper, Google, just Google these references and check out the research papers and scholarly articles. The evidence against the Aryan invasion or migration theory and the Proto Indo European construct is robust. Genetic studies, archaeological findings, geological studies, critical scholarly analysis, and much more debunk these outdated theories. Instead, they support the narrative of an ancient, continuous, and indigenous development of Indian civilization. Our upcoming episodes will delve deeper into these findings, exploring how Sanatan Dharma has shaped not only Indian civilization but also influenced global knowledge systems. Stay tuned for more insights into the profound wisdom of Sanatan Dharma. Namaste.